Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Storytime Society. Hi, can't wait to talk to you guys. Get out your drinks. I have my clear protein right here. It's literally so good. I got strawberry acai flavor, and it's 80 calories, 20 grams of protein. Huh? Excuse me? I'm gonna be a bodybuilder, so yeah, watch out. But today's theme of this episode is stepdads, bad stepdads, creepy stepdads, boo stepdads. Okay, that's the episode theme today. And we're just gonna get right into it. Actually, I'm gonna take a drink of my protein first because I'm gonna be talking, so I need to clear the throat, get ready. The title of the first story is My Stepdad Lied About Me Being Pregnant to Teach Me a Lesson, and It Traumatized Me. When I was 15, my stepdad decided to teach me a lesson about responsibility in the most cruel and manipulative way imaginable. He lied and told me that I was pregnant. He has come out that I had It has come out that I had premarital sex. He made me pee in a cup and claimed he tested it. I didn't see what he did, but he came back and said that I was pregnant. I had no reason to doubt him. For roughly 5 months, 18 weeks, I believed I was going to have a baby. My body even seemed to respond. I gained weight, had morning sickness, cravings, and even felt what I thought were kicks. I mentally prepared for this child. I grieved the life I thought I'd lose as a teen mom, but also grew to love the baby I thought I was growing inside of me. My reputation at school took the expected hit, and then the hit you'd expect when I don't end up having that baby. Yep, I became that girl. When I finally asked about getting prenatal care, he laughed and told me he'd lied the entire time. It was at the dinner table, and I'll never forget my mental state shattering. I was devastated, among many other things, and to make things worse, he found the pregnancy journal I had began writing in every week for the baby to one day read. He confiscated it and quoted it back to me, laughing at my thoughts and feelings for weeks afterwards. It felt like I had lost a child, even though there was never a baby. It always felt wrong to say I suffered a miscarriage, so I never felt like I could talk to somebody about the kind of grief I felt. This experience has haunted me for years. It's left me with trust issues, trauma, and a lingering grief that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't been through something similar. I've tried to find others who have had an experience like mine, but I haven't found anything. I wanted to share my story here because I feel like this kind of thing hasn't been talked about. If you've been through something similar, I'd love to hear it from you, and if not, thank you for letting me get this off my chest. Edited to add, the first time I ended up actually pregnant, they ended up being twins. This feels symbolic, like I was given the child I ended up not having in addition to the one I was to have then. It's comforting when I look at it that way, like my love for them was real, even if they weren't. So real that that baby had to come into existence. Oh, I thought by the title, reading the title, that I thought it was just going to be like, oh, he just came back with the pregnancy test, let me cry a little bit, and then was like, just kidding, which still, that's fucked up and traumatic. But 5 months? Girl, that's crazy because that's like phantom pregnancy. Like, that's literally like what is it called when you do like sugar pills and it's like a test and it's like a placebo? That's like literally a placebo effect. Like someone telling you that you're pregnant, for sure pregnant, and you thinking, okay, I'm pregnant, and then your body is reacting and responding. I mean, one, that shows like how amazing the human body is and like the brain more so, which obviously that's so terrible to say in this instance, but I'm just saying, like, that's insane that her body reacted the way that she truly believed. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if a damn baby started growing because I feel like our bodies are just so crazy. That's insane. I cannot believe that happened. I would want to sue. Like, I would literally want to sue for emotional damage because that's the most fucked up thing that I've ever heard. And then not only that, but like she had to go through the traumatic experience of being like shunned at school for being the pregnant the teen pregnant girl, and then to be like almost considered, I feel like, the girl who cried wolf, even though that's obviously not the situation at all. But like from the outside perspective, I'm sure so many rumors had spread, like, oh, she faked her pregnancy and all of that stuff, because you know how cruel kids can be, and teenagers especially, and especially about that kind of thing, and like in a high school, and just like all that, all those hormones. Oh my god, no, that's so insane. And seriously, I cannot believe someone would do that. And I would love to know, where was her mother at this time? Like, where was your mother to stick up for you and be like, that's not true? Why are you traumatizing my daughter? Okay, let's look at some comments. Yeesh, what a horrible stepdad. Where the hell was the mom? In one of the comments, OP says that mom basically laughed along and said, what's done is done. I would never speak to either of them again. They don't get to be parents after that, and they certainly don't get to be grandparents. T, goodbye. Literally never talking to you again. That's insane. But like, that sucks because you're 15 years old. So what can you do? You have to live with them until you're 18 and you can figure out what to do, unless you get like, what, emancipated? Is that what it's called? It's called emancipated. I don't know. But you know what I mean? When you like get a document or whatever, and you kind of like, you separate from your parents, and you're like you're independent after that. Okay. Holy shit, him reading the pregnancy diary back at her and laughing is just truly diabolical. What a sociopath. I mean, this is like the type of people, why do you have children? I mean, obviously it wasn't his child, but the mom clearly was going along with it, and she was an accomplice to all of that. So like, why did you have a child if you were just going to put her through traumatic experiences? I don't understand that. This person said, that man deserves to die in a fire, not smoke inhalation, actual flames licking at his nutsack and melting his dick. Oh my god, I cannot with that. Not the melting his penis. What a horribly cruel and emotionally abusive thing to do to someone. And I think it's perfectly fair to say that OOP lost a child because for 5 months she knew she was pregnant, or she thought she was pregnant. Dude, I think it's very fair to say, like, you could go through the same type of grief counseling as someone that actually had a miscarriage went through. I 100% believe that, because you basically did, just not like physically. I mean, you didn't like feel like what it felt like to have a miscarriage, but you felt what it felt like to be pregnant for 5 months. You felt what how other people reacted. You thought you were growing a baby. You reacted in like, your actions reflected the way that you were going to have to act and like grow up. Like, you had to grow up really quickly, and thinking that you're about to be a mom, like, just the mental toll that that would take. I mean, that we like, it's not like that's never happened before. Obviously, there are people that get pregnant that young, and it does take a mental toll on them. And that's like a very, but then to find out that it's not real when you've already accepted it as truth and as fact, and this is going to be my life. And then to have it be a joke, basically, like a joke. It's not even a, was it really to teach you a lesson? Because for me it sounds like he was trying to pull an elaborate prank, and he thought it was funny. Because what kind of lesson is that teaching you? I mean, okay, maybe you'll be so traumatized that you'll never want to have sex ever again, but like, I highly doubt that is even gonna be the case. I think you're probably just gonna be so traumatized by just the sheer fact that someone so close to you, and someone that's supposed to be a parent figure, would do something like that to you. I mean, that's insane. Okay. Someone said, as evil as the stepfather is, my heart burns with pure hatred for the mother that allowed a walking penis to do this to her child. Women who allow their men to abuse their children right in front of them because being single is somehow worse than what they put their children through are a special breed of scum. I'm not a religious person, but at times like this, I wish hell was real. I picture a special level of hell for all the disgusting parents that let their children endure unspeakable pain for no reason. I hope OOP is doing better now. That's so real, because the worst type of people are the parents that have kids and they always put their romantic partners above their children. And they're always choosing their romantic partners over their children, even if they're not good romantic partners. Like, even if they're terrible people. And just like people that are so, because I know it's obviously like we're all living for the first time, okay? I know that. And we're all experiencing life for the first time. So yeah, we're going to make mistakes. But like I just feel like for me, I would, if I were to get pregnant and then like it would end up that the dad wasn't going to be in my life anymore, and like whatever, we broke up or whatever the situation is, I just feel like I would be so focused on my child, and I would want to make my child the center of my universe and then not worry about the relationship and like that aspect of things. Obviously, I would crave it because as a human being, we crave human connection and we crave a romantic connection for the most part. And I do recognize that I would feel that way, but I just know that in my heart of hearts, I would put my child above all else, and I would not let the relationships and men like rule my life and be the center of my world if I am making and raising a child, you know? Like, I just, obviously, I'm not saying like, I'm better than everyone because I would do this, but I'm just saying like it's so wrong to me. And like I've had this experience. Like I grew up with divorced parents, so I had like I was not the center of my parents' world. My dad was dating someone and got married very soon after they got divorced. My parents got divorced, and then that made me feel some sort of like trauma because I just felt like at the time, especially, it felt like it was so fast. Like I was like 4, probably turning 5 when they got divorced, and then like 2 years later I think that's when he got remarried, which obviously that's not like super fast, but for me that was like lightning speed. Like I'm a little kid and time goes by so fast, and I just thought like, wow, this is crazy. Like my parents really are never getting back together. Also at the time I was so little and I just like didn't want my dad to get married. I don't know why. Obviously I feel like that's just a common theme for like little kids in the way that they feel about like when their parents are, you know, looking for new romantic partners. They're just extra like harsh and extra judgmental, and not even because of the person that they're marrying or that they're dating, but just because like that they're the kid and they want their parents' attention. Like they want to be the center of their parents' worlds. That's just how they feel. And that's how I felt. And I felt like, wow, I'm losing my dad to another woman and her kids, and he's going to go start this new family with these people, and they're going to know him better than I do because I don't get to spend as much time with him. I get to see him every other weekend and every Thursday. So, like, he's going to be more of a dad to these kids that live with him full time than me. And that was always like very hard to process. And then on top of that, like my mom was a single woman, single for the first time since she was 19 years old, because she had my sister when she was 19, which is such a young age to have a child at and to have to grow up and experience that. So once my parents got divorced, it was like a newfound like freedom for my mom, and that came with some challenges of her having like definitely putting relationships above us. And not like, she obviously did her best and she is an amazing mom. I'm not trying to bash her at all, but like she dated a good amount of men, and it definitely felt like there's, you know, it's like this guy after this guy. Like, why can't you just be single? Why aren't we like enough? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we just something that you can focus on and you can put your love into us and like just chill on dating for a second, you know? Like that is just like, it's, I mean, I'm obviously perfectly fine now, but yeah, growing up that way definitely shaped some of my trauma and the way that I am today. And like, I think I've worked through it. I'm 26 years old, and I recognize now I'm an adult, and I realize like the that people that happens, and people make mistakes. Even your parents that you think are perfect and know everything, they were also what my mom was still in her 30s at that time. Like, she was still very young. So yeah, we're all experiencing life at the same time for the first time. So obviously I give a grace to everyone, but it just makes me sad when it's like your kids have to endure the trauma and suffer the consequences of you not, I don't know, I guess knowing or learning that you should put your kid first. Anyways, let's go on to the next story. Okay. My stepdad told me that he's in love with me. My 30 female stepdad, 58 male, confessed to me that he is in love with me. This happened 3 years ago. For context, my mom and stepdad got married about 10 years ago. My mom and I are not close. She walked out when I was 4 and had me on weekends, but I spent 80% of my time with her parents and my aunt as she was too busy with whoever she was dating at the time. I was raised by my dad's parents because my dad was too busy working all the time. I come from a very strict German family that are basically like Vulcans and show very little emotion. 3 years ago, I tried to unalive myself due to an abusive relationship, and I ended up moving in with my mom temporarily so that she could help out with my son while I was in treatment. This is when everything with my stepdad started. After I got out of the hospital, me and him got close. Every day for 3 months, he would drive me to and from outpatient therapy, and we would just talk or listen to music. Harmless. When I had meltdowns, he would talk me through it and be a shoulder to cry on. Harmless. We would go on hikes together with my son because my mom has health problems and would always opt out. Again, harmless. Or so I thought. In my head, it felt like I finally had a dad that showed me love and attention. I even gave him a card for Christmas asking if I could call him dad, and he cried and said yes. I was overjoyed. I finally had a bond with a parent that I've never had before. Boy, was I wrong. Now let's bring in my now boyfriend, Z, 24 male. He worked with my stepdad, and he brought him over one day, and me and Z hit it off instantly. We hung out and talked for hours. My stepdad started getting protective, and I just read it as being a dad. Well, one night we went out carp shooting like we normally did, and that's when my stepdad confessed his love for me. He wanted to know if I felt the same way and said that he wishes he was 20 years younger. He also admitted that his tears over my Christmas card were tears of sadness that I saw him only as a dad. I awkwardly told him I just saw him as my dad, and that night I cried myself to sleep in Z's arms. Have I told my mom? No. She has a long history of choosing partners over me, so much so that her ex girlfriend's son essayed me and she took his side over mine. So telling her isn't going to do shit. I just had to get this off my chest. I feel like you should tell her and then never speak to her or the stepdad again. That's my thoughts, because I'm not saying that like, oh, she deserves to know. I'm just saying that like I feel like she should feel, I don't know, I would just want her to feel that like her that you're feeling, because she's clearly like a shitty person, and that's just how I feel like I would like want revenge, and I would be like, now you can deal with this feeling of knowing that your husband told me he's in love with me. Goodbye. See ya. And fuck you for not being a good mom. Okay, let's read some comments. I'm so sorry for all the disgusting people in your life. I hope you go no contact with all of them. OP said, I basically stopped talking to my stepdad entirely, and I only talk to my mom occasionally. That he fell in love with you doing normal father-daughter activities is wild enough, but I can't believe he confessed his love to you after you gave him a card confirming you see him as your dad. That is insane. After that card, he should have taken those feelings to the effing grave. Opie said, you definitely aren't wrong on that one. He even asked me first if I see him as more than dad, and I said no. Like, more than a dad? He's also got a weird, like, physical relationship with her bio daughter, who is 2 years older than me. She would sit on his lap and be like, Dad, do you like my new bathing sit? Do you like my new bathing suit? My boobs actually fit it nice. See? I'm assuming she meant his bio daughter, who's 2 years older. And that's actually very scary. Okay, this person responded and said, "Yeah, that is ridiculous. I can almost imagine a version of this story that's more sad and pathetic than creepy or disgusting. But that version ends with stepdad burying his feelings, getting counseling, and never saying a word about his nasty crush after that card. The bit about his bio daughter is super ick. That alone makes me wonder if there isn't something more nefarious going on. My younger sister, 24, was very cuddly and very much daddy's little girl growing up, but I can't imagine her sitting on our dad's lap now, especially in a swimsuit. That's disgusting. Ew. Ew. I mean, ew. I don't even have words for that. OP said, "Yeah, after this all happened, I've just been reevaluating every single interaction I've had or seen. He also married my mom only 3 months after meeting. Definitely not something stable people do." Yikes. Oof. I mean, yeah, he's clearly a shit person, and I don't even know. I pray to God that nothing happened with his daughter because I can only imagine why she thinks it's okay to do that, you know? Like, at the end of the day, that's not even her fault. That's not even like, ew, that's gross. Why would you do that to your, like, why would you sit on your dad's lap and say this? It's really like, why did your dad make you think that that's a normal thing to do, right? Because usually it's not the kid's fault, it's the parent's fault. And you have to really, the kid is the reflection of the parent and how they were raised. And clearly something went wrong. And I just pray to God that it wasn't like anything sexual and that it wasn't sexual, like, you know, abuse. I couldn't think of the word. Okay. Time for the next story. This one is a bit long and it has about 3 updates that come with it. So I'm going to take a sip of my protein so that I can get my throat ready. I, 21 female, found a spy camera in my room after my stepdad, 36 male, put a surveillance camera in my window. My stepdad installed a surveillance camera positioned outside of my window to scan our backyard while him and my mother and 2 younger brothers go camping. I couldn't go on the trip since I had work, so I was staying home to house sit and feed our animals. My stepdad recently put up new cameras outside, so I didn't see anything wrong with him positioning one outside my window. Come to find out, the very next day, I had my boyfriend stay over and he found that the surveillance camera that was ran from outside my window and into my room was being powered by one of those spy camera power blocks. For context, my relationship with my stepdad hasn't always been the best, and we tend to butt heads a lot. He's said a lot of questionable things in the past that I've written off because he's my dad, and I would never think he intended to be inappropriate or harmful. He's been in my life since I was 8 years old. Of course, I'm second guessing everything now that I've found this camera. It was positioned to point directly at my bedroom door from the far wall, so it has direct view of my entire room, which I change in. I tried desperately to rationalize it and think it was maybe a mistake, like he grabbed the wrong charger box, or maybe he was just trying to look for intruders, but really, there is no excuse for putting a camera in my bedroom. The camera even had an SD card in it. I'm beyond devastated. My stepdad even suggested that I invite my boyfriend over too while they're gone so that I have someone here, which is something he would never do considering he's made it clear before that he doesn't want him over when no one is home because he doesn't want us effing in his home. My boyfriend and I are going through the SD card to see if there's anything on it. I'm at a complete loss at how to even bring this up to my mom. I confided in my aunt and uncle since they live close by, and they have been very supportive of me having a conversation with my mom about it. This whole situation is extremely upsetting. I at least have some family to support me as I navigate this, but I don't even know how to bring this up to my mom. This is obviously going to change everything. She had my 5-year old half brother with him. My mom is race my mind is racing with the consequences this is going to have on our family. Has anyone that has been in a similar situation have any advice? How can I do this without causing extreme damage to the family? Although that may be impossible. Thank you in advance. Ew. I'm scared. Okay, let's read update 1. Yikes. I found a spy camera in my room after my stepdad put a surveillance camera in my window. Update 1. I don't want to make a whole new thread since I want to make a new update when my parents get back on Monday, but I want to thank everyone for all of the advice. I went to the police station tonight and filed a police report and turned in the spy camera with the SD card. The officer said this is a serious offense and I will likely get a call earlier next week from an investigator due to the severity of the situation. I'm planning on telling my mother about the police report after we have a conversation about this on Monday, with my aunt and uncle present. As for people messaging me about my profile, thank you for reminding me to delete my personal information. Please do not dox or try to seek any sort of justice for me, as this may affect my case. Respect my privacy during this time, please, as it may be crucial during this investigation. This was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but whatever this shit was, it's ending with me. I hope I can get justice for myself and any other victims who may have been violated by him, since this will be heavily investigated, and the officer said that it will likely be looked into further, such as search warrants and looking for more SD cards. I'm hanging on by a thread, but the support I have is what's keeping me together. I'm staying with my boyfriend tonight to keep out of the house. Thanks again for all the love and supportive messages. I'll update again soon. Update 2. It's the next morning, and once my boyfriend wakes up, we're going back to my house today to look for any more secret cameras, either in the bathroom or my brother's rooms, so I can submit it for more evidence. I'm iffy about searching my parents' room for more evidence, as it's likely he has a hidden camera in there to see me do it. Still on the fence about having a police officer search the house. If I do, I'll be sure to update after I'm finished and in a safe place. My aunt has offered me to come with me to help search. Again, thank you everyone for the support. I'm trying as best as I can to do this the right way and get as much done with the time I have left. I'm mentally and emotionally drained, but I'll be seeking resources once all of this is said and done. I'm reading everyone's comments, so I'm taking all the advice I can get. Okay, last update, guys. I found a spy camera in my room after my stepdad put a surveillance camera in my window. Final update. I probably won't be able to update for a few days since today is the day that I talked to my mom, but I just wanted to share the plan I made in hopes for what happens today. After talking with my aunt, uncle, boyfriend, and my cousin who is a civil lawyer, I've decided that I will speak to my mom in a separate location from my stepdad. Most likely, I'll have her meet me somewhere outside of our home. I'll have my aunt with me, and this is where I'll explain everything to her. The camera, past uncomfortable experiences I've had with my stepdad that I originally brushed off because he was my dad, video footage of him deliberately setting it up and angling it, and footage of me in my room. I'm praying she understands why I had to go to my aunt instead of her, considering she was not in town and I was worried for her safety if I told her what happened. She was stuck with him and my brothers, about 4 hours away for the weekend. I'm hoping with my aunt there and her being away from my stepdad that it'll prevent her from reacting out of anger and search for him and escalate the situation then and there. And I hope my aunt can provide some support for myself and for her. I'm prepared for her to go through the same processes I went through, such as reasoning and denial, but with the evidence, there's no possible way that she can deny it. I'm preparing myself for the worst. I just hope that I can be strong for her and support her as this all hits her like it did me. I will not be returning home or facing him today. My boyfriend will be on standby to pick up my brothers if needed, since my aunt has offered for them to stay with us so my mom can talk to my stepdad without them there. I'll ask my mom to meet me and, of course, not tell my stepdad about the circumstances. Maybe she can tell him she's going to the grocery store. I don't want him getting any hints that she could be having a meeting with me. I know I've said a lot, but I truly do appreciate this support system I have not only with my family, but here too. This has been a nightmare, but hearing everyone's stories about this, proving it's way too common, is what is helping me get through this and pushing me to do the right thing. Not only am I a victim in this, but my boyfriend is as well, and God knows who else. The confrontation won't happen for about another 7 hours, so in the meantime, I'll be reading over comments and preparing myself for what comes today. Thank you guys. Wait a damn minute. Please, this was 2 years ago. So tell me that there's an update, another update. I feel like, okay, I think there is. Okay, there's one last update from 6 months ago. So this original post is 2 years ago, and then this update is 6 months ago. I found a spy camera in my room after my stepdad put a surveillance camera in my window a year and a half later. Update. It's been a while. I never would have thought that my post from a little over a year ago would have reached so many people, and I'm so thankful for all the support Reddit has given me. First, I apologize for taking a while to update, and I'm sorry in advance if this isn't the update you were hoping and waiting for so long. But here it is, and I'll answer some questions a lot of you might have to the best of my ability. A lot of you probably want to hear that my boyfriend and I got justice for what my mother's husband did to us. I really, really wish I could say we did, but given our shitty police system and outside factors, we have not. I keep contact with my brothers and my mom, but contact is now severely limited because of the situation. It pains me to not be able to see my younger brothers like I used to, but honestly, it isn't my choice, and I've come to accept it. My mother is still with him and continuing to isolate herself from family. Whether that's because of her husband or her own shame, I'm not sure. Maybe both. I know a lot of you were rooting for me and wishing me nothing but the best, so I'll give some updates on my personal growth. My boyfriend and I moved in together. I graduated nursing school and I started my new job last month. We've been trying to heal from what happened and have been growing our relationship. We're planning a trip together soon. I'm still surrounded by my amazing friends and family, aunt and uncle who have been our rocks through this and helped us cope with everything. I'm at a place where I feel like I can finally talk about everything again, so I'll do my best to answer some questions. Thanks again to everyone who reached out and concerned for me. Even the weird ones who tried creating lore for me and theorizing my entire life. Y'all are really strange, but again, it's Reddit, so whatever. Edit. I just wanted to add that I've seen all the TikToks and YouTube videos of people covering my story, and let me just say how weird it was to see my real life situation put on blast like that. Please remember I am a human being going through something extremely traumatizing, so keep that in mind when commenting and reaching out to me. I've received more love than anything, and I can't thank you guys enough for the overwhelming support. It's always interesting seeing like when people address TikToks and YouTubes, obviously because I am a TikTok and YouTube that will be addressing the situation, and I'm always wondering like what could have been said that would have like made her feel a certain type of way about it. Like, are people not being supportive of her, or is it just like hearing about it being like hearing people say what the fuck, like that's crazy, is that like something that's maybe affecting her? I'm not sure. Obviously I'm not the one who went through the situation, so I couldn't imagine like what it would feel like and how I would feel or how I would respond to other people talking about the situation. Obviously, when reading stuff online and when people are posting stuff online, yeah, it can get out of hand because people like to people I just feel like it's a very common theme that people don't recognize that things and stories and people on the internet, because you're seeing it through your phone and you're not seeing it in real life, and it's really hard for some people to process, honestly for a lot of people to process, that these are real people with real feelings and real emotions. Like, this is a very common theme in reality TV. We comment on them as if they're characters of some TV show when really they're actually going through this real life situation, and this is their real life feelings. And so it's very interesting because I always try to take that into account, and that's why I would never be like a troll on someone's page. Whereas I know so many people who, see people on TikTok, or that people put their lives out there, or reality TV shows will like DM these people or comment on their things as if they know them, and as if like this is like a character, like they think they have some say in what they're doing in their life, and they'll comment on it or be like, this is crazy, I can't believe blah 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 blah. Like, that is crazy, and it's very strange. It's a very parasocial way of life and way of thinking, and I try to always keep in mind that these are real people, and that's why like I feel like i keep I still keep my same empathy with these like stories as I do with other people around me. Obviously, I can get caught up in the same type of stuff. Like, sometimes when I'm watching reality television, it will kind of, end up dissipating a little bit in my brain, where it's like, oh, wait, these are real people, and this person is actually going through something really sad. This person is bawling their eyes out and crying, and I'm just like watching it as if it's like a drama, which, yeah, it is dramatic and it's entertaining to watch, but at the same time you really have to think like, these are real people. They have real feelings, and still be empathetic to that. So, yeah, it's just interesting, but obviously that's fucked up. And the which what is wrong with men? Oh my god. I was going to say what's wrong with stepdads, but you know what? What's wrong with men as a whole? Please, because I feel like women would save the world if men would just shut the fuck up and like chill the hell out. You know what I mean? I really feel like that, honestly. I genuinely do. Like, why are men? I know that obviously, like, women, yeah, it's a pretty like common thing where it's like, we can be catty and we can be this and that. But I just feel like we are so much more level-headed and we always like in a lot of dynamics that I've seen and I've experienced with like families and relationships, it's always the mother and the woman that is the head of the household that controls all the finances, that literally like my dad would actually lose his head, his hands, his fingers, his arms, like he would have to piece himself together without my stepmom. I swear to God, I could text him and be like, hey, I need your social security number for this health insurance. And he'd be like, text your stepmom. And I'd be like, you don't know your social security number? Or even like, hey, what's your birthday? He'd be like, text your stepmom. She'll know better than I do. It's like actually insane. He would actually lose his whole damn mind, his whole like I fear he would probably be living in a tent because my stepmom takes care of everything. And that's just like I feel like that's a very common dynamic in the world, and it's just so interesting to me that men run companies and countries and so many things, like they're always the leaders in these situations. But really, if women were in charge, we would save the world, like actually, because women just they have everything together. They know. We you know you know what I mean. And if you don't, then goodbye. Just kidding, but you know what I mean. I hope. So, yeah. Um I hope that this girl is doing okay. She said, "Thank you. Honestly, it's a lot better for my own mental health to distance myself, and I still call my young brother from time to time. I have another brother who can drive, so I get to see him a little bit more often, thankfully." To me, it's crazy that like this just goes back to women choosing partners over their children. Like the fact that the mom stayed is just it's disappointing and not surprising. And it's really sad because I don't know why women feel like these men are just because probably the latter, what I was talking about previously. Like we just put men above all. We put men above all else because I feel like in society that's just what we've been taught. Like the men are the leaders. The men, you know, a lot of times just it's just the world revolves around men, honestly. All right, that's the end of the storytime segment. We're going to move on to the advice segment. If you ever want unprofessional advice from me, the link will be below. It is a Google form and it collects zero information. It's completely anonymous, so leave as many details as possible. This is a little bit of a short one today. So this question says, anyways, let's get into the situation. Trigger warning, boys, lol. For context, I am female 15 in my freshman year of high school. I recently have been sort of liking one of my friends' exes. Me and this friend aren't very close, but I still don't exactly feel right trying to date him or even talk to him. When him and my friend were dating, he tried to get her to do sexual things and favors for him that she simply was not comfortable with. They did date like 2 years ago in the seventh grade, and I feel like maybe he may have changed or something, so that makes me want to try and date him. But I also don't want to disrespect my friend. Moral of the story, he's super cute and seems funny and nice, but I don't want my friend to hate me. Okay. I just feel like okay, I'm trying to take myself back. Let me take myself back to freshman year of high school because I know it's so different. Like for me as a 26-year-old, I'm like, girl, they dated in 7th grade, so it's not that big of a deal, but obviously that was what 2 years ago for you. For me, it's like, imagine me being like, I don't want my friend to date my ex from 7th grade, Like, obviously, that'd be crazy. Because, girl, my ex from 7th grade, who? I literally haven't spoken to him in 25 years. But, anyways, I would say, honestly, choose your friend over a boy every day because there's always going to be more boys. And also, it's not, this boy's not going to be the love of your life. And I feel like you'll go through many boys in your life. You'll date many boys. You'll experience many boys, but friends are more likely to stick around. And obviously, I know you said you're not that close, but you still feel some type of loyalty towards her, which shows me that if you were to try to date this person, she would be upset. And I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth being that girl that, is like shunned from her friends, because obviously like her friends are also probably gonna get mad at you as well, because that's usually how things go. They'll be like, wow, I can't believe you did that. And then not only that, but then it will show other friends that they might not be able to trust you. And then I feel like maybe even your closer friends will be like, well, would you do that to me? Like, you did that to her, so are you gonna steal my boyfriend next, or my ex-boyfriend next? So, and then also just like the little bit of red flag with the seventh grader asking to do sexual things and favors for him that she wasn't comfortable with. That is definitely, he probably hasn't changed that much. I'm going to almost guarantee that, because he is only 2 years older, and also seventh to ninth grade really isn't that big of a difference. You don't really change that much. Maybe like ninth to senior year, like freshman to senior year, then you would change a lot. Definitely you change a lot. Even like freshman to junior year, I would say. Freshman year is definitely a very vulnerable time. It's such a different time. It's like you still feel like a little child. And then once you're like in sophomore and junior and senior year, you start to feel like you're growing up a little bit. But obviously you're just coming from like middle school in most places. I'm not really sure. Is that everywhere? I don't know, but I feel like because eighth grade is middle school, and then you're going into like freshman year of high school, and that's just like such a different place, and you're still feeling like you're just a little kid in middle school. So I genuinely think there's gonna be so many boys out there that didn't date your friend that you won't have to worry about her getting mad at you for. And I would always choose, I think always, always, always choose friends over boys, because boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. So, love you, and I hope that helped a little bit. Obviously, do as you please. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things, and you're going to make decisions on your own, and that's going to be life. But if you do take my advice, I think it's good advice. I really do. And I'm very confident in this. I'm confident in that one, that you should choose your friend over a boy. But I actually was thinking, that made me think about the fact that like last night I was thinking how when I like grew up, was I was like I had I feel like what am I saying? I grew up in a town for the first 18 years of my life, the same town. So like I knew a lot of people. Everyone knew each other. We all knew each other, right? Like I just feel like it's just such a common thing. So then I obviously would go through different friends. This is not relating to the advice segment, by the way. I'm just chatting and chitting right now. I would go through different friends. That's like a normal thing to do as you grow up and whatnot. And I definitely think that, like, I don't know, sometimes I think about how I kind of regret, like, for some reason, whenever I feel like a friendship isn't serving me, I turn off completely from that friendship, and I will just like exile that person from my life. And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've realized that's not a healthy thing to do. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on this. I obviously still have friends from like my childhood. I have two very good friends from my childhood, and I still talk to one of them a lot. I talk to the other one, but not as often. But um we've definitely been talking a little bit more now, but like I would consider them like my best childhood friends, and like one of them I would still consider my best friend. But I feel like, where am I going with this? I just feel like I would always shut people out after I feel like their friendship wasn't, not like, not, I'm not trying to say like serving me as in like getting some benefit out of it. I'm not trying to say that at all. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like it was like getting a little bit toxic, or like I didn't like the way that they were treating me, or I just like the way that they were the way that their friendship was with me wasn't like a friendship that I necessarily feel like benefited my mental health. Like it almost was bad for me. You know what I mean? Like a little bit toxic in a way, but not like so crazy. I mean, obviously, yeah, I had those friendships that were super toxic that like I wouldn't even want back now. But there are like a few friendships where I feel like from high school to college, because I moved from Iowa to Florida. So I had this friend group that I was friends with, but I wouldn't say we were like the best of friends and they knew everything about me. Like we hung out a lot and we went on trips together and stuff, and we hung out all the time, but it was more of like a group friendship. Like I wasn't close with them individually. And then also like my best friend was in that group as well. So like I was obviously close with her and individually, and I'm still close with her a lot. But I always like think back to these friendships, and I wish that I wouldn't have like exiled those friendships out of my life completely. I don't know if it's just sometimes like I'm thinking like, oh, I regret that, or if it's like a valid feeling. I don't know, because I don't know what my relationship would be like with these people that live so far away. Like, would I really have been able to keep in touch with them? Probably not. Like all of them as a group, probably not. I feel like it's just hard when you move away, and then also like they move away or they're back in town, they're back in your hometown that you don't really visit that often. And when you do, you're going to visit family. But, like, I was just thinking the other day how I kind of regret that, and I kind of wish that, like, instead of completely exiling those people out of my life, I more, like, kept them at a distance of a friendship. But for me, for some reason, it's so hard for me to keep a friendship that is, like, surface level. I don't know why. It's always, like, either you're my ride or die and we're, like, best friends and we talk all the time, or, like, I just don't really feel the need to have a loose friendship in my life. So I've never been the type of person that I feel like has a lot of friends that hangs out with a lot of different people. Like I had a core group of like 6 girls, but like I feel like some people will have so many friends and they'll be like, oh, this person that they hung out with like a month ago, they're still like friends and they would still hang out with them. Whereas me, it's like I hung out with you 5 months ago. I don't really consider you my friend anymore. If we haven't talked in 5 months, we haven't hung out in 5 months, like I would say we're probably not friends anymore. Does this make sense? Like there are people that have just so many like not not acquaintances, but like in between acquaintance and like friend that they'll like hang out with and they'll feel comfortable with. I don't know, guys. Does that make sense? I don't know. I just feel like I've always valued close friendships so much so that like the surface level loose casual friendships have never been of interest to me. But as I get older, I kind of wish that I was better at keeping those casual friendships, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I don't know how to explain that kind of situation, but I feel like maybe someone can relate to that. Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, that's all I really had to chat about today. And I don't even know if any of that made sense, but I hope you enjoyed the episode and I love you so much. Please let me know what you thought about any of the stories. Also, if you have any advice for our advice segment, girly, please leave it in the comments. And yeah, I love you, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Also, if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, it's in the link below. I'm about to film a video for it after this one, and we're gonna be talking about, I don't even know, some crazy stories. But I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, mate.